All right, so here we are. First thing we're going to do is open up AutoStakkert. So find your AutoStakkert and let's get it going. And then you're going to go migrate over to where your data is located. And just so happens that my data is right here. And we're just going to, you can do it a couple different ways. You can either file, open it, or you can just drag and drop. I like to just drag and drop. And we'll get this out of the way. So now we have a nice big image of our sun here. And most importantly, you can run this a couple different ways, but I'm going to go through the settings that I like particularly. So I just go to the surface. You can go to planet. It will process it, but I've found better results with surface. And I just use the standard defaults here. If I have really bad data, if it was really very bad seeing and there's some clouds, it's just noisy data, I'll take this automatic off and I'll boost it all the way to 8. But you can do whatever you like. I just leave it on automatic. Hit this analyze button. Usually I have found that most of these settings that are set to normal or nominal, they works just fine. So it's going to go through here depending on the speed of your computer and the largeness or the size of your file. This file in particular was 2,199 frames, as you can see here. And here is the quality graph. I don't really go by this all the time. I just generally try to stack somewhere between 2,000, get a video that has about 2,000 to 2,500 frames, so I can run that through AutoStacker and stack it. But generally what I do is I'll take 25 to 50%, but feel free to try even more, because what we're going to do is this line goes all the way down to about right here, so I'm going to try 75. So we got 75 in the window there already. You can try the sharpened version, but it doesn't usually come out very well. I just leave it checked anyway. No drizzle, and I'm going to place the AP grid over here. If it's too big, too small, use your little zoom window here. You can do that. Just put it however you like. This is user preference here. And then I hit place AP grid. Now, sometimes people will say different things, but I've found that you need somewhere between 700 and 1,000 little squares to help find the data and stack the data appropriately. If you put 25,000 squares on there, if you make this very small and minimum brightness of 5 and you place AP grid, now we got 8,480. It's going to take forever for your computer to tear that down and match it all back up. So I don't recommend doing that, but try it, see if it works. I just try to get somewhere between 700 and 1,000. So this is good, or you can even bump it down to 88. Now, I have noticed that sometimes when you have a minimum brightness of 5 and you've got some flare activity out here, it may not pick it up. You can drop it to 0 and place AP grid, and it's going to basically try to stack everything. This works pretty good sometimes. Sometimes it may pick up some stray light data or something in there. If your image comes out a little wonky, go back and put it on 5. But it doesn't hurt to try. I would suggest try with these settings multiple times and see what you like, because it's all user preference. These are just the ones that I use. All right, so we're going to go with 5, and it's going to have 1,137, so we're going to go with that. And we're going to hit stack, and we're just going to wait until this thing here goes through its processing. It found a reference frame. It's going to align it, then it's going to stack it. It's going to do all kinds of cool stuff, and then it's going to come out with an image. Now earlier we could have changed up here at the top. We could have made this a TIFF file, a PNG, or a FIT file. I'm just going to leave it as a TIFF. It works great. And it's coming up here. Depending upon the size of your file, how much you stacked, or the speed of your computer, you could be here for a while. But it's a pretty simple process with AutoStacker. You can do it a couple different other ways. There's Astrophotography. There's some other things out there. This is just the one that I like. It's easy and quick. And it always, for me, gives good results. you may find that it doesn't do for you, so you can try different things. But whatever you do try, if you do something different, let me know in the comments down below. I'd like to see everyone else's workflow. Okay, so it's stacked, it's ready to go. We can close out AutoStakkert. What we want to do is just make sure before we go further is go back to where your data was, and it's going to pop up in here the 75, and I'll just show you this is the sharpened version. It usually doesn't look good. Don't use it at all. But it just shows what you have, and it just kind of shows some prominences out there, some really good filaments here, some awesome filaments, and a really cool sunspot there, really big flare activity going there. Okay, so we don't really need that. You can get rid of it, keep it, whatever you want. Next is IMPPG, and there's IMPPG. We're just going to open it up, just migrate to wherever you have, get it open. You can do file, import, whatever you want. I always like to just drag and drop, so I'll just go back to where it was, bring it over, drop it on. Now when you do that, it's going to come full screen at you. So what you're going to do is either use your wheel on your mouse to lower the size of the image, or I think it's Control minus to minus it out, but I just use my mouse. And then it starts out with, this is just looking at this square of what we're gonna do. So if we adjust the image, it's only going to view that. If you got a great processor, a good processor, just hit this little square box here, and now whatever we adjust, it's going to adjust to the entire image so we can see it in real time. And that's what we want. We want to zoom it up just a little bit, and we want to be able to, one, look at the data here, and you can tell when this thing, I've learned through, I think it's Simon, that when you have an H-alpha telescope and it's pressure tuned and it's tuned on band, the little spikes at the end, that's when you know that you're in that wavelength of this 650, I don't know, I don't want to even quote what it is, but I don't pay attention to the precise parts of the HA signal, but what I do pay attention to is try to make sure this is good and detailed. So I grab this amount of this unsharp masking, and I'll just take it and I'll bump it to the right a little bit, and just watch it. As you move it to the right, it gets really too sharp and too crisp. So what you want is if you move it back to the left, it gets too fuzzy. You want to find that user balance. And I have found that if you can't see like I do, if you do this and you're supposed to have glasses, you should put your glasses on, right? Then look at the screen and then adjust as you're doing, because when you have your glasses on, it makes a hell of a difference on where it's supposed to be. So put it to where you like it. User preference, just to where it gets fuzzy and just where it gets a little crisp, somewhere in between. And that's kind of how I like it. If you look up here, you can really blow out the flare activity inside that sunspot. And when you're adjusting this over here, it will adjust your sliders over here, and it gets a little bit more data there. It kind of spreads it out, I think is what I'm going to call it. So then I'm going to zoom it back out so I can see the entire disc. There's multiple ways of doing this, but this is just the easiest way that I do here. I just kind of grab it right here in the area somewhere on the edge, and I just bring it all the way up, no matter what. Bring it up, turns it all the way white. Don't worry about it. If you try to grab it again and you have this square mark, it's just going to move it. It's going to move the piece where you were. Move it over till you have the target like this. It's like a squared reticle, and then grab the line and bring it down. And I drag it all the way. First, I just bring it all the way down to the very corner. Bring it all the way down. And I watch the data as I do it. I watch it physically as I draw the line, because you can set this up multiple different ways. But I like the way it brings the contrast out. And then what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and take the slider again over here and adjust it. I keep it pulled all the way up, but play with the slider. You notice it goes dim, bright, dim. And then I just bring it over to the right, and you notice the rim of the sun. Notice the flare, the prominence activity and the rim of the sun when I slide it over to the right. Just pay attention to what you're doing. And you can get contrast, you can get less contrast, brightness, more brightness. The issue with bringing it so bright in the background, notice the background is nice and dark. The background is nice and dark. If you bring it too much and you stretch it to where the background is like this, you're going to have a hard time trying to take care of all that background noise in it. So what I like to do is just ease it off to where it's nice and dark, but I notice I play with it like this, and I just kind of have the prominences up top or at the bottom to where it looks good to me. Not too bright, not too dark, not too bright, just kind of right in the middle. And that's kind of where I leave it. Now, if you want to adjust these middle sliders, just grab it and you can play with it. You can kind of see how it adjusts the side of the, you can adjust it in. Just do it however you like. If you find out that it's not right, you can always hit the reset button or just right click on the dot that you were on and it goes away. You can also invert the stretch and get a totally different look on it, which is really cool. You can get different looks by going, by dragging the sliders a different way. You can change the look of it. I don't really like that. I'm not a big fan of inverting it, but I have inverted it sometimes. So what I want to do is, some people will take both these sliders, when they invert, they'll bring them up and they'll bring it down like this. And they'll just do a backwards curve to it, and they'll play with it differently. And you can do it like this and make your background a totally different color, which is really cool. So I suggest just play with it and make it how you like. If it gets all cattywampus on you and you can't get back, just hit the reset button and you'll go back. So let's go back up to the top, and then let's drag the slider over and then put it to where you really like it. Let's see here, not too bright, not too dark, just right in the middle. Just kind of where you like it. And I think that's good. If you're doing a, one thing I've noticed, when I put this all the way in the corner like this, to really give me some contrast, I've noticed that if I'm going to do, this is just for a single image, but if I'm going to do a batch processing, for whatever reason, when I take this corner dot and I bring it all the way over and it stays there, if I do it like that and I go to do a batch processing, it'll fail every time. So then I come over here and I bring this little slider dot and I put it somewhere right here off the bottom, and it works every time. But if I'm just doing a single image, I'll try to get it to where it's there. That's what I like. Let me know if you've had that problem too, if you try it. So I like this. This looks good. I don't need to adjust any of this other sharpness. You can if you want, but we're going to sharpen it in another different way. So I hit File. We're going to save. If we're doing a batch processing, we'll do the batch processing. But right now we're just going to hit Save. And then we're going to find where you want to save it. And it's going to just make sure you save it something that you remember what it is and where it's at. I'm just going to call this Sun Test. And we're going to hit Save. It's already there. We're going to hit Replace. And then we can close this out. So from here on out, we're going to go into PixInsight. If you don't have PixInsight, use Photoshop. If you don't have Photoshop, use whatever paint software or paint, or I think you might be able to do it in GIMP. You might be able to do it in Astrophotography. You can do whatever program you use to color your images. Try that and use that. See how that works. But I like PixInsight. This process is for PixInsight, and this is how I get my images to that award-winning quality in PixInsight. So all we have to do is find where your image was. So we got to go back to where my image was, and we saved it as test, I believe, or nope, it was here. Well, forgot where I saved it. So it was in Sun Test, but I want to go back. I think it was this one. Pretty sure it was that. Yes, that's the image that we made, Sun Test image. There it is. Okay. So I like to look at my image prior to starting to kind of see where we're at. If you blow it up too much, it's going to be too grainy. Don't worry about that. I just like to get it rather large because my eyes aren't great. I want to be able to see exactly what we're working with. So what we're going to go in here is go to Processes, All Processes, and go to Solar Toolbox. And there's a setting in here for surface only, surface and prominence, or prominence only. I use both, surface and prominence, but I would highly suggest that you use whichever one you want and try the different settings. So there's surface and prominence. We're going to hit this little button right here, which gives us a preview, and now we have the preview. First thing I do is I go to sharpen. Now I know with my camera that when I go to the sharpening feature here, that I know that I'm going to go to kernel of 2, and I'm going to automatically go to 15 or 16. And give it a second. This little wheel up here is spinning, and then it brings it up and it shows that it's sharp. Now, if that's too sharp for your likings, then just back it off 2 or 3 and watch that wheel that's up there spinning, and then you'll notice a difference when it's done. If you bring it all the way to 0 and look at your image, you'll notice when it changes, it gets a little duller. I like it somewhere between 15 and 16. So we're going to go with 15 here. You can change these as you go. You're not stuck with this setting. These denoise amount, I'll change this to 2. It depends on your camera, and I usually bump it up to about 70 to 75. It will denoise your image. It does work. If your screen's big enough, leave the sharpening tool out. And what I should have done is made sure that I moved this up, because you probably couldn't see that. It was stuck behind my head in the video. So what I'll do is I'll bring this back over here so you know that you can see. But in this sharpening slider here, this is what I was adjusting. I got it set to 2. I got the, I usually don't mess with the boost. And I put the denoise amount on 74 and denoise kernel to 2. It starts at 1 on each, so I moved it to that. If you have enough room, leave it open. If not, just close it out. Next thing we're going to do is go to contrast. As soon as you hit the contrast button and you open the box up, don't worry, it's going to look bad. It's okay. You can play with this all you want, but it's so simple just to go to local contrast and bump this down to at least a 2 or a 2.5 to start. And then you can see that. See, it brought up the nice filaments here. It really brings it out. Some people don't like that, but you'll see how we'll deal with that later. If you bring this up to, I don't know, something ridiculous like 6, watch what happens. It's too much. You can tell it's too much. So if you bring it down to 0 or 0.5, it's not enough. You need to have something to make those individual filaments come to life, especially on a time lapse. But this is just a singular image. So I like to go 2.5 or 2.0. Let's go 2.5. To me, with this camera, the 428 Max Pro, it's perfect. So we're going to leave the contrast there. And remember, you're not stuck at this point with the contrast. So we're going to go ahead and hit the color button and let it come up. So some people like this color, some people don't. That's okay. You can adjust all your color settings down here. If you don't like the red, take the red down. Watch what happens. Just give it a second. If you like that color, if you like the kryptonite looking color, go with it. This is all user preference. It's an artistic view, and this is my artistic view, but this is what I like. So I'm going to bring this back to around I believe it was at a 7. We're going to go with that. And at this point, what I automatically do is I just go ahead and bring the contrast boost up. Watch what happens to these individual filaments in here when I bring this contrast boost up. It's going to bring those individual filaments to life. Okay? So then sometimes I'll mess with this high contrast, sometimes I won't. If you bring it up too much, watch what happens in here. It's going to get way too bright and over brighten everything, overpower it. I like to just barely turn it on. I don't ever go above 50. And it just adds a little subtle touch to it. At this point, you need to look at your background. Are you happy with the background or are you not? Because what you can do is you can make the image darker. Just do little steps. But just beware, when you make the image darker, it's going to make your prominences pop out more. But it's going to put a darker cast shadow on your image. Now, I didn't take flats. And this is where taking flats would fix this image if I would have done flats. I don't do flats because I can fix it somewhere else. But I'm going to start doing flats. I'm ordering a flat panel. I'm going to order that here shortly. But what I normally do is I'll darken it by stretching it just a little bit over here. And then what I'll do is if it's too dark, what I'll do is I'll brighten it back up. But before I brighten it up, I'll take this black point and I'll put it at about 30 or 40. And what it does is it really takes care of the background. It makes the little plasma on these prominences pop. It does make the inner part a little dark, but all you have to do is bring the color back. Bring this back left slider just a little bit every time, and it brings that color brightness back. Now, if you've darkened it too much and you really want these prominences on the rim to pop, come to life, take this white point and bring it back to about 840. Depends on your camera. So just bring it back, or to 940, excuse me, not 840. Bring it back slowly, because what it does is it brings these plasma, what looks like flames, it brings it more bright. And if it's too bright for your taste, just bring it back a little bit to the right, and it won't make it so bright. As you can tell, see, it makes it a little darker. But the rim, some people like that really punch of the solar rim being bright. That's how you can control the rim if you make your image too bright or too dark. So then you can come back and re-stretch it over here to the left. It'll make it brighter. But when you do that, it brings your background bright. So if you don't like that, just play with it and move your black point. Set it to where you like. I kind of like, it just depends on the day. If there's a lot of solar activity going on and there's lots of flare and prominence going on, I try to make that bright and make the background really dark to bring that out. So that's kind of what I shoot for. And at this point, remember I said, if you're not stuck with the contrast, if you want more contrast, just simply go over to the contrast slider and boost it up. Don't boost it up a lot, because it'll really boost it. It's all user preference here. So if you would go back to that, let's go to 12 and see what happens. See, it does just too much. So I like to keep it around 2, 2.5. I think it's perfect, because what's going to happen is we're going to put some secret sauce into the mix here in just a minute. But if you're happy with it, if it's too sharp, if it's not sharp enough, go back and adjust it. If you want to make your prominences pop even more, then go to this prominence boost tab and just boost it up. But watch what happens when you boost it up too much. It makes the entire process brighter. It casts a really big bright shine on the entire surface of the sun, and just makes it too much. So user preference again. If you want to use it, use it. You can go back and readjust your sliders. I think that looks good. We're going to go with that. So when you're happy with it, with your color, your sharp, your contrast, your prominence boost, then just hit the go button here, hit the square. It's going to apply it. And sometimes it makes the image look weird. You're like, oh no, it looks horrible. That's okay. Just close out the solar toolbox. And now you still have your real-time viewer up. Close out your real-time viewer. All right, so at this point, we've got a really good looking solar image. It looks fantastic. These prominences look good. I think the background image looks good. It might be a little too red for my taste, but we can fix that. We can go into curves. I don't want to do it at this point, but we can go into curves and we can, either boost up the red just a tiny bit, or you can take the red out a tiny bit. But see, it really messes with the color. You can adjust the red in a little bit, then you can take it back out on the back end, and it keeps the orange side in and makes the background a little darker. You can adjust it that way if you want to do it that way. It does enhance the image some, but I don't want to do that just yet. I kind of want to leave it the way it is, but you can adjust it however you want into here to get it to how your likings are. But I want to really put the secret sauce on it, and this is what I do to if you've got a this is a Lunt pressure tuned solar scope, and it usually takes great images. And when I'm saying great images, the disk of the sun, the center of the sun, when it's center on your sensor, it takes really good images across the sensor when it's pressure tuned. A tilt etalon is very finicky. When it tilts, it may leave a contrasting band, light or dark contrasting band across the sensor image area, and you've got to get that image in the sensor where it's not so bad. Like on my Coronado PST, where it's a tilt tune, you tilt to get it on band, but then the sun looks bad on the bottom part, so you'll adjust the sun in the screen on the image to get it up, just like you would if you have dust motes or dust particles in your image when you're using a Barlow. When you're doing your sun, you may see it right here, but if you move your sun up on the sensor, it gets that one little piece out. You can try that, but you can also try this. Go to Script, go to Utilities, and go to Image Blend. And I'll have to say my hat's off, kudos to Super Dave Astro from Astroworld TV, because he has shown us this many times, and I've picked up on this trick, and I use it all the time now for my solar images, because this really works to help fix that that banding issue, and to also make things just pop and more crisp. So what I do is I reset my my tool here, and I'll go and I'll pick up my image 187 here. So I'll go take image 187, and it pulls up our image. And then I'm going to pull in image 187 again, and it pulls it on top of one another. So first what I make sure to do is I got my replace down here in blend mode. I want to make sure I've picked replace. So we're going to have replace in there, and then in this filter type, we're going to go to high pass. And what happens is if this little slider right here is preset, you're going to see a little bit of the sun there. But if it's all the way over to the left, it just changes the way everything looks. So usually it's darked out like this. You can't see anything. So bring the image over. This is all user preference, but don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of the slider here. Don't just see this and go, oh, I want to just barely put it in there. Don't do that. You can do that, but bring it over. Don't be afraid to bring it over 3/4 of the way and check out the way that that image looks. Oh man, it looks all just, it's there. Okay, don't do that, because it's really going to make the image just way out of proportion. But bring it over at least halfway, right, to where it's on there. And then go over here to the replace and hit overlay. And what it does is you can tell that between here and here, it's really just, it's overly sharp. It's too much. But it may not be too much for some people, but it may be too much for you. So what you do at this point, you can do it two ways. What I like to do is just take the opacity out of it. Just bring the opacity back. Bring it all the way back. And now look at the image. And the image is better than what's over here, but it's still sharp and it looks cool. You can adjust the opacity, bring it back some. And if it's still too much, if you think that the filament here is too much, then bring your filter radius back on the high pass, bring it back. And it flattens it out a little bit more. And if you really want to see what you're doing, is just check the preview button. That's what it was before, that's what it is now. So let's bring that back. Let's really crank that thing up. Look at what it did. It really put some oomph into that filament there. And you can tell that's without, that's with. That's without, that's with. You can bring the opacity back all the way. And whoa, you really overcook it, right? But you can bring that opacity back, and what it does, what I've noticed is that if you crank this filter radius up to at least midway, just give it a try. If you're having a problem with that filter banding gradient, give this a try. Put it halfway, leave the opacity all the way up, then bring it back to about 1/4 and start there and work your way up and see what it does. It will increase and it'll lighten that image up. It'll spread that image out a little bit, and it may fix your banding issue. If that doesn't work, try messing with your midtones a little bit. Adjust these sliders however you want. You can make the image darker and more contrasty. You can see what it's done is it made it darker, but it's really making these prominences just pop out like 3D. But if that's not your thing, that's not your thing. Just put it to where you like it and how you want it. Excuse me. So just play with these sliders all you want. Adjust your black point. It'll make this background darker. It'll make the image darker. You can mess with the black point up here. Make the image darker. Make those solar prominences and flares pop. It's really whatever you want, but that's the secret sauce here. You can sharpen the image. You can adjust your sliders to where you can get the background to pop how you want, and just make a really killer solar image. And this is exactly what I did to get that image that won the image for TubeTech's solar image. So what I got here is I've got our two images back to back here. And you can tell the difference. This is not an overly cooked image. It is a well-sharpened, well-contrasted image in comparison to the one on the left. And the background is tightened up a little bit. And what we can do is take it one step even further. If you like the one on the left, that's without the image blend, that's fine. It looks great. It's a great image. It's awesome. But if you really want to adjust the left one even further, you can run a session of noise exterminator on it. Just don't do too much because it will pixelate it. It'll mess the image up. But if you don't like it here, go to the curves like we were doing before. And if you want that red out of there, you can adjust some of the red. Just bring it back ever so slightly. But it will mess with your image a little bit. If you don't like that, leave it like it is. You want to adjust the saturation, play with the saturation. If you don't want to mess with that, you want to mess with the brightness, kind of park the upper curve and crush the darks. It's really up to you and how you want it. But I'm really digging where it was before. I like that background. I haven't mastered how to get the backgrounds different colors yet. So when I figured that out, I'll definitely do that. But then the last thing, because some of these backgrounds look really cool with yellow or blue backgrounds or even space. Now there's somebody out there who beat me to the punch. Normally I take my Jupiter images and I'll try to put some RGB stars in the background. Somebody beat me to the punch and they posted and liked it. There's a solar image with stars in the background. I haven't tried that yet. That's going to be my next thing. But what I do is if this is what you like, this image is what you want, I will upscale this or rescale this image so I can put it in a poster format and I'll print it and put it on the wall. And what I do there is I go to Processes, All Processes, Rescale, find where Rescale is. And somebody may know a different way, or it's Resample. Sorry, it's Resample, not Rescale. I'll select the image that I want to do. This is Image Blend 2, and it tells me what it is. That's a 19 by 28. So if you really want to make this a wall poster, you can Google what the normal one is, but I usually just go like 3500 and let it bring it back to itself. And you can keep the resolution at 72, but I'll pump it up to 300 for the print. I don't know if that's good or bad. That's what I do, and then I'll hit this button and watch what happens. It makes the image really, really big. But that's cool because what happens is when you go to blow it up, it looks a little zoomed in now, but when you go to blow it up, it's better because now you can zoom into it and it's a little bit better quality image, I think. So there it is. That's what I normally do to get the award-winning images. So there you have it. That's just a real quick, easy, simple process that I use to get my solar images just really tightened up, a lot of punchy contrast and really sharp using that super secret sauce of image blend thanks to Super Dave Astro from Astro World TV. I really appreciate those guys over there for and everyone who contributes to that panel of showing us how to do the images and use PixInsight. And I'm sorry that I don't have a process put out for Photoshop or Paint. I just don't use that process. But if someone has one, please share it with me and I'll check it out and try to update one of my images using that process. But again, I'd like to thank TubeTech, Astro for having that global competition. I did take silver, so thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. thank you for watching this video. Thank you, Astroworld TV. Thank you, Player One, for the camera that I'm using currently now, the 428 Max Pro. Thank you, TubeTech, again for that was a GM 3664C, I think it was, that I took that picture on. But this particular picture that we imaged today, that we processed today, was a Player One 428 Max Pro. Thanks again to everyone. Thanks for watching, and until next time, clear skies.